it's a and just celebrate yourself, what you've achieved this year, who you are. And yeah, we're just very happy to have you here. So thank you for joining. We hope you feel very welcome. And of course, we've got the last event on there, which is taking place relating to AI next year. So please, the best thing you can do is just to scan the Luma QR code and get subscribed, and you'll find out when all the events are happening. I think I'll hand over to Catherine now.
Yeah, thank you, Edmonia.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, this is gonna be a little bit dry run because I did not write anything down to introduce Jace, but I couldn't be more excited to introduce Jace. Jace is a friend. I consider him a friend, and I've known Jace now for a couple of months, but a very multi-passionate leader, and he is a leadership and team development facilitator and coach that works both with individuals and with leadership teams. I think the reason why I'm so excited for today is because Jace actually builds trust, clarity, and collaboration so well, even with brand new people. And I experienced it firsthand a couple of times on some sessions where within a new thing that Jace is working on called Misfits. And so I would call Jace also an entrepreneur and founder, but I'll let Jace talk a little bit more about that if he wants to. And we're just so excited to have such an amazing facilitator teach us some of their ways, because as we know as product leaders, this is one of the most important ways to create psychological safety in your team is just by really learning how to build that as a practice in settings like meetings and being online and even in one-to-one conversations. So I'm going to give that very bad introduction and let Jace add to it if he wants. But I'm really, really excited that he's joined us. So I'll turn it over to him.
Thanks, Meg. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Meg, that was a perfect introduction. I couldn't have asked for anything better. I'm glad you didn't prepare. I just have a quick question before we start. Does this session need to be recorded? No. Does anyone have the answer to that?
Do you want to answer, or I can take that?
Can we stop the recording?
Sorry, I couldn't find my unmute. I'm so sorry. We don't have to record. However, the reason why we do, and I'll just give this caveat as we talk about psychological safety now. The reason that we do is so that people who, for whatever reason, can't attend, some of whom have accessibility needs or care responsibilities or are unable to for work reasons or other reasons, so that they can access some of the learning later. That's the only reason why we do it.
Okay, so my question, are the breakout rooms recorded? No.
I actually don't think so. No.
I need confirmation. So they're not?
They're not.
Okay, good. Thank you. Sorry for that. What a cool start. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Psychological Safety That Actually Works. And I am just going to start from the beginning here. What I want to say is, if you are joining this session and you're comfortable to put your camera on, go for it. And if not, like for me, this is less of a webinar and more of a open-hearted. It's the first time that I'm doing this session in this way. So this is like a pilot for me. It's going to be imperfect, but I put my heart into it. So I'm really excited to pilot this here. And I want to start by sharing openly about who I am, like actually, not LinkedIn, not in a professional, like, way. But I think I come by this work honestly around psychological safety. And, I've been thinking about it a lot lately around, why am I teaching emotional intelligence and psychological safety? And I think it's because as a kid, I suffered so damn much. I am queer, trans, I am neurospicy as hell. I'm autistic, ADHD, and dyslexic. And now I have come to see that, when I was young, I always got comments like, you really don't see things properly. And I really thought there was something wrong with me. And now as an adult, I'm like, I cannot believe that my hyper focus on trying to observe and understand people and emotions has turned into my job. I'm like, that is weird. And the things that I have suffered by so much is what makes me really good at teaching psychological safety, because it is like my deepest pain and biggest empathy. So I really understand it, and I understand how important it is to feel a sense of belonging and not having to split who you are at home and who you are at work. And so many of the corporates, I like, for some reason, work so much in bureaucratic hierarchical organizations where I'm always like, I was like, you guys have to be kidding me. Do you know who I am? Like, it doesn't make sense why the top of the government of Canada wants me here. I don't fit in at all. And I think that's why I'm invited into those spaces, because they've tried 10 other things, nothing has worked. And then I'm like, okay, well, here's the honest truth. And I don't even understand the layers of, like, they're like, do you know that you just said that to someone who no one has had the courage to say the truth to? And I'm like, no, I have no idea who the commissioner of blah, blah, blah is. So my way of seeing things has actually become my work. And to my own shock and surprise, I work with senior leaders where psychological safety is often very low. And the thing that I hear all the time is, when I do emotional intelligence training, like, I like to call it emotional maturity. And so many of us, have so much work to do in understanding and processing our feelings. And so when I think of psychological safety, actually, I'm going to get to that soon. But basically, I've always been a misfit. We're reclaiming the word. I think it's cool to be a misfit. There's so many superpowers in it. And I think that the problem is more in the design of our systems and structures. And those are the things that need to change and are changing. So I really care about people feeling a sense of belonging and being able to show up as their full selves. So here we go. Here's the session. So psychological safety isn't something that just happens. It's not like, oh, I've like arrived at this team or organization and surprised it happens to be psychologically safe. It actually is built in micro moments, and it's something that is intentional. And we're going to explore what it means to you. And I hope that you leave with something that either is an insight that came from you or something that you heard from someone else that you can try to practice and bring into your own practice, whether that's with yourself, with your teams, or with your peers. So we're going to explore how trust, belonging, and accountability build safety. And I'd love to see in the chat, and I'm going to share in a moment our group agreements and how we're going to roll. Actually, I'm going to do that first. So agreements are only as good as how we hold ourselves accountable to them. So some of these things might be new for you. So for me, everything that you're doing today, your number one rule is taking care of yourself. If you came to this session and you're like, oh my God, like, this is annoying, I don't want to talk about psychological safety, you don't have to stay. You can go. Even if you pop off, we'll just think that your power went out. So you don't need to announce anything. You don't need to worry. So be for each other. What that means, I think that be for each other is a very deep, it's like you can really explore what that means in a deep way. But this is where I think kindness comes into play, kindness over being nice. So rooting for each other, offering support and encouragement. So this is where really people can put their masks down. It's safe to learn, it's safe to grow, it's safe to make mistakes, it's safe to look silly. And like the bigger the risk, the more the applause, is how I like to think about it. Silence is participation. So I think that also, you know, especially around Zoom and online meetings, feeling like that stress around like, oh, I need to participate, I need to follow the rules that this facilitator designed. No, you don't. Do what you want. If you just want to listen, that's participating too. Opting in and opting out. So you have agency. You might have not slept well last night. You might be tired. Having choice builds safety. It means that you're not spending time worrying or managing your own stress and the rules that someone else set for you. So listen to yourself, number one. That's the like only 100% rule here. And confidentiality. So what's said here stays here, and lessons learned here leaves here. And these are, I think for me, some of the foundations. You can add other ones in the chat that are important to you, that help you feel capable of participating. So I saw something just fly by in the chat where like for one person, silence might be stressful. For someone else, that might be the permission they've always wished for. So up to you. So I would like to see in the chat, what are other things that help you feel able to participate or able to even be present or show up? What are the things that you need? So safety to move around and stim or even pause. Yeah, I think there's a lot also around like the speed of having to like process your thinking or answer a question. Being seen and having your opinion valued. Totally. And that goes a long way if we see somebody holding space for somebody else and feeling heard, or if, you know, we're looking for those behaviors that show that someone isn't listening, that's going to send the message to the whole group. Know what I can expect, having my needs met, breaks, food, forgiveness for human moments. Yeah, your cat walking over across your Zoom screen, eating a quick snack. Yeah, basically, it's so far the theme is like just to be a human being here. Setting the intention up front, so knowing, so like not having surprises, knowing like what we're going to be doing today. Yeah, it also helps. I think it helps people to drop in when they're able to name how they're arriving in the space. Okay, you can keep them flowing. Thank you so much for, oh my God, not being commented at my appearance. That is not fun. My hair looks different every single day. And sometimes the first time I'm seeing it is when I'm on a Zoom meeting first thing in the morning and I'm like, oh my God. But if someone says something, then all of a sudden I'm like even more self-conscious. Anyways, let's continue. Okay, so if anyone, so every time, so I just want to say the agenda, we're going to be doing 2 breakout groups, and I'm also going to be a little bit adaptive. So based on what comes up or the interaction, I'm going to leave space for us to go there and see, like, every group is different. So, you know, feel free to unmute and share what you think. You can pop your thoughts in the chat, or if there's any other way that you want to engage at the level that you're comfortable. But I want to know what you think, like, what the fuck is psychological safety really? What does it mean to you when you hear that word? And if any of you want to share out loud, I can see that we've got some extroverts in the space. it'd be nice to hear someone else's voice. So yes, you can be honest, you can speak up, you can share your views and opinions without being judged or attacked, free to be yourself. Meg, I'm curious. I don't understand what that means. So psychological safety has been used to silence you.
Yeah, so at least I don't know if this is like a cultural thing, but definitely I've seen on multiple teams that they use the idea of psychological safety to actually quiet people, including myself. I've had this experience where if you're voicing a dissenting opinion, people will quote not feeling safe, or that like what you're saying isn't safe when actually they're just uncomfortable because you're disagreeing with them. And I actually think sometimes psychological safety and inclusion like feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
A little bit uncomfortable. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And, you know, I have to be honest, I don't like the word psychological safety. And I'm often asked to do workshops where that's the title. And I'm like, forget the word psychological safety. Like, I think it's where like, it's safe to be yourself and be human and have dissenting opinions. And if we're talking, like I see, it's like just safety. But the truth is we can't perfectly create safety. We can create safe enough spaces where we're trying. We're just trying and we're learning as we go. And to me, that's enough. So even like exploring it for yourself, or if you're creating a business or if you're creating a culture, and I saw it go by there, like a lot of companies have beautiful values that are like, you know, plastered to the wall. But what we're actually talking about are the behaviors. What are the behaviors that are tolerated? What are the behaviors that we expect to see and tolerate? And so, sorry, I'm just having there we go. So, you know, why does this matter for leaders in tech? And safety is strategic. And I think you'll be able to agree with me, but when safety is low, there's a lot of energy that people put towards masking or protecting themselves. There's a lot of energy. If you think about it in the course of a day, if you think back to a space where maybe you had a micromanaging boss or someone who shut down every idea, where it wasn't safe to have conflict or disagree or debate, or for a million other reasons, you know, you're spending a lot of energy thinking about how to protect yourself. And you're not comfortable to take risks. You're not comfortable to share your ideas. You're not able to be creative because your nervous system is in a reactive red zone space. So maybe you're disengaged, maybe you're quiet, and this is where teams get stuck. And I have to say that these are the conditions that I always get called into. And I find it really sad. And I'm like, this is so weird that my work, it's like I am teaching people the basics of how to just be good people. Just be kind to the people that you lead, because the truth is, you want your team, you want your people to show up and be able to share their strengths. You want them to be able to be honest. You want them to be able to be creative and innovative. And you want your teams to be high performing. And you want people to be engaged, have accountability and ownership, and creativity and innovation go up. So this is why it's strategic. So if we use the right language in a corporate space, it's an easy sell, right? A high performing team that is freed to do its best work. Like, this is what we need right now in the current context and world that we're in. The pace of change, the increase in complexity means that these core human traits that we have, that we need to rely on, we need high performing teams. We need diverse, complex teams that are able to be present in the moment and adapt on an instant And that means that we need to be able to show up as our full selves. We need to be able to use our emotions as data. We need to be able to speak honestly. We need to be able to have productive conflict. Like, think about it. So many leaders aren't trained as leaders to begin with. They don't know how to lead people. Many people get promoted because they were really good at their job. They don't have a clue how to lead people or lead a team, or even how to create the structure or foundation for a high-performing team. So, are you feeling convinced that safety is strategic? I'd love to see what some of you think, but like, I haven't heard anyone argue with me yet by saying like, doesn't sound like a good idea. Let's just stay with our old ways. Like, says nobody. It's nobody yet. I'm sure if I was in the right space, I would find somebody, but I live in Canada. I think people agree. So, trust is built in small moments where we feel heard, seen, and respected. And I think that if we think of like building a high-performing team, or we need to change our entire culture to be psychologically safe, and we need like $1 million to do it. No, you don't even need to hire a consultant to do it. You just need each person to change a little bit to show up and be more open to listening, to showing up, to being present. And this is a really hard ask right now, because everything I hear is we need to speed up. Everything's moving so fast, and I'm on this wave and I can't slow down. And I think this is where we need to resist that, and we need to slow down to be able to do this work in order to thrive in the current situation that we're in. So enough of me chatting. In a moment, you're going to go into breakout rooms, and you're going to practice doing just this. You're going to practice hearing, seeing, and respecting somebody else. And I want to give you two options. So you can either think of a moment back in time in your life where you felt truly seen, heard, and respected, and what happened and what the other person did or didn't do that mattered. Or you could share something from the present time right now that is something that's on your heart and mind that would really benefit from someone else listening to you. And so that's like a little bit of the more vulnerable option. And you can choose what feels safer or more comfortable to you. And so you're going to have 4 minutes each. And really important, the person who's listening, you are 0% responsible for problem solving. You are not trying to fix the other person's feelings. You're only holding space for them. You're only being present and working on trying to listen. And when they're done their 4 minutes, you're just sharing, thank you so much. And if you want, you can reflect back 1 or 2 things of what you heard from what they shared, and that's it. You're going to notice as you're listening all kinds of things coming up of like, am I listening well? I want to listen perfectly. This is so uncomfortable. Oh my God, I've had the same experience. What can I say or share back to help them? No, only listening. You are trying, every time those thoughts come in, return to just listen and tune into their body language, the energy that you're feeling, their facial expression, their story, their eyes, whatever it is, keep trying to focus on listening. So choose your depth of what you're sharing, what you feel safe enough to share. And if you don't want to share anything, you can pass and offer just listening. And maybe the other person takes 8 minutes, or maybe you have a chat and get to know each other. Up to you. It's your time, your space. 8 minutes. And then we'll see you back here and debrief a little bit and hear from folks who want to share some of their insights. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. So I'd love to, I see some familiar faces. I think there's some people from North America here. Anyways, exciting. Okay, so I would love to hear from a few of you. You can pop it in the chat. What was that like? What was it like to be listened to? And there's a lot of people in the UK. I know. I, I think there could be people from even all parts of the world. Who knows? Germany. Cool. So yeah, I want to know from you, what was that like? Anyone want to share?
I don't mind sharing just because, like I said, I can't do silence. So, you know, if you wait long enough, I'm always going to talk.
Okay, awesome, Joe.
Yeah, so I was on with Lauren, and it was really interesting. I was struggling initially to come up with a time where actually I did feel kind of seen and heard, and I kind of shared that. You know, for quite some time now, I've probably got more examples of the opposite, of seeing situations where you know, other people are not seen or heard, or you know, kind of behaviour from other people. But it was lovely to hear from Lauren, and her experience triggered memory in my mind, which actually was like, oh yeah, I've had exactly the same situation happen to me, and you know, being able to kind of, I guess, both connect with someone that you don't know at all, being able to connect on the experience that we both had, and what that did for us, confidence-wise, career-wise, personally.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for sharing, Joe. Anyone else have anything they want to share?
Well, I can maybe, because I was really struggling to think about something, because I've left my last job where I was employed in March, and since then I've been a freelancer, but I'm starting a new job, and my future manager, we had a lot of negotiation rounds, and I could I could just feel that he really tried within his possibilities to somehow tailor the job a little bit more to me, or the circumstances.
Yeah.
So when he finally said to me, just see it like a long-term freelancing, I knew that he completely understood like what I was looking for, I would say. So I felt very valued, and he made me sign the job contract in the end.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting, because I had the feeling he genuinely cares. He doesn't just want to fill the job position, but he understood what I'm looking for in a new employer.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you just like said, I think that it's about care, right? So it's like we've got the like fancy word of like psychological safety, or like, you know, whatever, like, but it is genuine care. It's showing genuine care for our humanness, for our humanity. And so the anatomy of psychological safety, so it really rests on 3 layers working together. So I want to break this down for you. So trust is, I think, the foundation of it. So I believe you will treat me with respect. I show up at the office, and that is the foundational belief that I have. I don't need to worry that I'm going to be mistreated. And so this reflects the belief that others will respond with care rather than judgment or punishment. So if you think about that in terms of how do you create trust, how do you, and I'm going to share this on the next slide, but you know, that's what I'm thinking about when I'm saying we're building a culture of safe enough to start trusting each other, to build trust and to repair trust. I think that's what it's all about. So if you have that intention and that value, how are you showing up to that? What are the behaviors? How are you holding that and prioritizing that? Belonging. So I feel valued for who I am, not just what I produce. So I feel seen in my strengths. I also feel like others care about me and my own learning and development. So it means that you're accepted as your authentic self, all the parts of you. Accountability, so we can name hard things and stay connected. And if you think about that, mutual accountability is a key function of high trust systems. So this is where challenge and honesty strengthen rather than threaten connection. And if you think about it from a cultural perspective or even team cultures, conflict avoidance is so toxic, and it is so common across so many teams and organizations. And, I think many of us weren't taught the skills for productive disagreement. And when we avoid it, it creates all kinds of issues that have long-term impacts and consequences on an entire culture, on an entire system. And very often leaders are the ones that model this. So if the leader isn't able to do this well, they're creating a culture where it isn't safe to bring up dissenting views, which then increases risk, which then actually creates all kinds of behaviors around lack of transparency, hiding mistakes. Think about it. Like, that is not great. That is not what you want people to be spending their time doing within teams. So when you've got all of the three things aligning, the body and mind register real safety. So the nervous system is able to settle and curiosity awakens, and people can take the kinds of risks that make learning, growth, and innovation possible. So, if you are wanting to, if innovation, creativity, even playfulness, humor, any of those things that we need, this is the foundation for those things. If you don't have these things, sometimes what you see is one person who is maybe structured or wired differently, and is able to find ways to thrive or be present, or maybe they don't have trauma, or who knows, where then it's one person that's being creative and taking all kinds of risks, but that's also a risk. You don't want one person, that to be all on one person, or one enthusiastic extrovert who, has a lot of charm and charisma. It's a team effort. So if you've got any thoughts about this, feel free to share in the chat. But here's some ways that leaders can build it practically and energetically. And I'm using the word leader here, and I just want to say that we're all leaders. I don't care if you've got the official title or not. We all have leadership in our own lives, in our teams, in the way we show up each day. We have influence, more than we know. So modeling imperfection. Think about this. This is, I think saying I don't know is the most powerful thing a leader can say. And we don't see that very often, like actual humility, or saying I was wrong, or I need help. It signals to your team that it's safe to be imperfect, and it reduces the fear of making mistakes. It means it's safe for me to do the same thing also. I don't need to show up pretending like I have all the answers, because none of us do. We don't know what we're doing. We're all just doing our best. Making safety explicit. So naming these agreements and expectations out loud. So discussing team norms, making it clear that respect, inclusion, and candor are valued, and following that up with not only the behaviors, but naming things when they arise in the moment that are against those agreements, and using it as an opportunity to learn and grow together. Responding and not reacting. So thanking people for honesty, or ways that they took risks to show their humanity or vulnerability. So making it safer for people to share feedback or tough truths. Inviting different perspectives. So maybe people who we haven't heard from yet. It prevents groupthink, and it also empowers diverse perspectives, signaling belonging for all. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I always try to listen to the people who are in an observing role, who share very rarely, often have the most powerful insights that if we actually slowed down enough to listen to, they could actually shift the entire direction a group is going in. Building rhythm. So these are small ways where either at the beginning of a meeting, anchoring to what the purpose is and the objectives, but also checking in on how people are showing up. How are you doing? Checking in as humans takes 1 minute, but it really builds the container for safety and care, right? It shows I care about how you're doing and how you show up. And ending meetings with like what helped us work well today, or reflecting on like what did we do well, what can we do better, showing that we're continuing to learn and grow. This is a small thing, but it actually makes a difference, and people and teams and meetings really appreciate it. And this is where psychological safety stops being like a nice word that's out there and a concept that becomes culture. It becomes the thread of the behaviors of what you're doing each day to promote it and build it. And so we've got some time left, and we're going to explore how tiny interactions can build or break psychological safety in real time. And we're going to do this pretty quickly, so you're going to get a taste for what this is like, and approach these interactions with care and consideration. And you're really doing what we're doing is we're trying to just get data from within you. So this is not a moment to like play into this in like, you know, we're wanting to not be mean here. So you're still wanting to be kind. This is a practice experiment where we're trying to elicit some things of what happens in you when you're not in a psychologically safe space. And so person A is going to take 2 minutes and share a moment of courage. So something that you're really proud about recently. Maybe it was that you asked for help. Maybe you named a concern. Maybe you're clarifying expectations. And then person B is going to introduce a subtle misattunement. So you interrupt the person, you rush the speaker, you minimize what they're saying, dismissive body language, something small, right? You're not saying something like, you're an idiot, right? Like, we're not being mean here. You're doing something that's a subtle misattunement, but it's obvious enough that you didn't hear or see the other person. And so you're going to have, I'm just going to shrink the time just so that we have enough time to finish everything here. So you'll do this for 2 minutes each. So share a moment of courage. The other person does a misattunement. And when you're misattuned, just take a moment to like register in your body what the sensations were, what that felt like, what the thoughts were, and then we'll go on to the next step together. If you're not comfortable participating, no worries. You can just play person A or person B. The instructions will be in the breakout rooms. So we will see you back here in 4 minutes.
Hi.
Hi.
Is the snow in the background real?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Kicked out. We got into the conversation. We got kicked out.
I'm so sorry you got kicked out. And yes, the snow is real. But it does look like a fake background. Anyways, welcome back, everybody. Catherine, could I have my slide deck back, please? Thank you. Okay, so we aren't going to go into chatting. You're going to reflect for a moment. If I can get, there we go. So this is for you and for yourself. If you got like a Post-it note or a piece of paper beside you, if you like reflecting in your head, what happened in your body during the interaction? What story or assumption popped up for you? Did you feel more or less safe to keep sharing after the misattunement? And if you want, you could, on the flip side, think about what it felt like to misattune intentionally, how it shifted the connection between you and the person, and what did you notice in yourself as you observed the reaction. So take 2 minutes, jot down some notes and reflections of what stood out to you. All right, so hold on to that. And if you need more time to reflect, just mute me. Because time is ticking. So I would love to, and we just did this on such a small scale, but, if we think about it, how do these dynamics relate to the core concepts of trust, belonging, and accountability? These small micro moments can really shut people down or erode trust. But on the flip side, what does this mean for the actions or behaviors that strengthen trust and safety, especially during challenging or vulnerable moments? You can share out loud or in the chat.
I mean, I can say that as a neurodivergent person, I just put it in the chat that I think, and not to make that the focus of this, but so often these micro moments are seen as being intentionally distressful, and they're not intentionally. And I think the challenge is people are interpreting them as kind of, we're trying to throw a spanner in the works,
Right.
or we're trying to shut people down. And not. And I think so much mistrust and misalignment comes from people reading into other people's actions and behaviors without assuming kindness or innocence.
Right. Yeah, and I mean that do a whole workshop on that around like neurodivergence. And we actually do that in Misfits. So like once a month, we have sessions where we just like chat about these kinds of things as like neurospicy individuals. And I think something that came out of a recent session around belonging was, that difficult place of like, do I tell other people that do I out myself and tell other people that I'm neurodivergent? And what my needs are around communication, or the questions I might need to ask to understand like how someone else is interpreting it, versus just trying to like survive day to day of like, how do you navigate that? And, everyone had really different answers based on the context they were in and the level of safety that they felt or the risk. But yeah, totally complex.
Yeah. For me, it's mostly, I guess, what drives me off and makes me feel really insecure is when people are not paying attention to me. They're not mindfully in the room.
Yeah.
So if you're on your phone, if you have your laptop out and you're watching your laptop while I'm talking, I feel like you're not here and what I'm saying is not important to you. Yeah. So it kind of almost goes down to respect. Like if we're all in the same room, just be in the room.
But I have a question for you. Do you have you communicated those needs with your peers or your team, or does it often get left silent?
I've communicated it to my team. I haven't communicated that to people who are in a role that's above me. Fun story, for example, like this last week I had an interview for a leadership role, and I was being interviewed by the CEO of the company, and he did not look at me once. He did not stop typing or watching his phone or his laptop during the entire interview.
And that's tough to hear because you're already feeling vulnerable and stressed. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So it depends. I feel like when it's people above you, in a way, like it's really, really, really difficult. Yeah. When it's people that are at your same level or they're more junior than you, it's easier to convey, but also like to show them, right? Like you are mindfully present in every single meeting, and when somebody's talking to you, you're listening. Yeah. Because you want that behavior to be emulated. But when you're kind of below, it's like, okay, how do you even bring it up?
Yeah. And I think you're bringing something up, which is like, I think what's so difficult and needs to be built into the norms where like, I think that's why like we're talking also about power and privilege in positions of power, especially they're creating that norm and they might not be aware of it, but you're also not able, like, how do you communicate your needs in that? Super challenging. And I think we've got to get really creative about ways to do that, right? Because it would be maybe unsafe for you to put yourself on the spot and say like, hey, do you mind closing your computer and phone and listening to me? This is really triggering, right? Like you might not say that to the CEO.
Exactly.
So just for time wise and based on the fact that like I'm trying to end on time here. So this is really the work of showing up, one ripple, one relationship, one brave mini act at a time. And you can check us out on Misfits. And Catherine, if you don't mind putting it in the chat, we do free meetups once a month, and we offer coaching and group coaching for people who feel like they are, alone in the world, needing support, are weird, visionary, tenderhearted, neurospicy, queer, you know, all of the outsider people at the fringes. So feel free to join, and you can also follow me on LinkedIn. I share some resources and stuff on these topics, usually like once a week. And to close up really quickly in the chat, to choose one tiny thing that you're gonna, something that maybe stood out to you in this session that you're gonna try to practice this week. So some examples might be pausing before responding, keeping open body language, making sure that you've got your phone away while someone else is talking, listening to somebody else and not going into problem-solving mode. You can share it in the poll, you could share it in the chat, and you could also just share it with yourself in your own mind. All right, so we've got from some people. So I think a lot of people are going to try to stop using their phones during meetings. Naming discomfort, pausing to acknowledge it and moving on, not going into problem-solving mode, not be checking my phone. Hard for all of us. So I just want to say thank you so much for your presence, for your participation, and for being welcoming to me in the space. I think that when I saw like the request to be to do a session for the female product lead as a trans man, I was like, oh, I don't think that's for me. No, thank you. And then I was like, oh, there is an asterisk. Like maybe I do belong in that space. And so anyways, thank you for making it welcoming. And I hope you got something out of this session. And here's to trying to make our spaces safer for everybody. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Jace. That was wonderful. Thank you for sharing. I've learned so much, and there's so much we can actually take away with us and, you know, take it to our workplaces, etc. And we can also link back to you as well, right, if we need anything. So
yeah,
really appreciate your time.
And I'm so sorry to say, but I just remembered we created a really cool, some of the folks from the Misfits community, we came together and created a belonging guide. It's mainly focused on neurodiversity, but you can download that. There's a few free resources there.
We'd love to see that. Thank you. We've lost a couple of people because we ran a little bit over time, but it's fine. It's all really important stuff. I think we just have a small survey to complete just to get feedback on the event, please. It would be lovely. You know, we're always learning and we are very open to ideas. So we'd love to hear your opinion on the session, etc. It's like an impact questionnaire, and it helps us as an organization to actually know how we're actually impacting, you know, and the change and progress that we're making in this area. if you can see the Luma QR code on there, take a quick picture, please, or scan it. And please, yeah, do let us know what you think. Thank you so much, Jace, and I hope you all have a lovely afternoon and hope to speak to you, see you in the future. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.